Good evening, welcome to Friday's Midlands Today from the BBC. Tonight, the housing market in the West Midlands is broken. That's the suggestion in a new report from the National Housing Federation, which shows getting a mortgage is now harder than ever.
That's right. Average house prices now stand at more than £170,000 in the West Midlands. That's an increase of 81% in the last 10 years. But the average wage hasn't kept pace. In the same period, it's risen by just 25% to nearly £20,000. That's made houses unaffordable for many. Also, banks are demanding bigger deposits than ever, up to 25% of the sale price in some cases. In Sandwell, for instance, buying an average-priced house can mean finding a deposit of around £30,000. In Wolverhampton, it's over £32,000, and in Birmingham, over £38,000. Bob Hockenhull has been investigating.
It's not just first-time buyers struggling with the housing market. At 59, ex-salesman Kevin Tyndall has been made redundant and due to personal circumstances needs to move out of his home in Walsall. But despite a lifetime working, he can't afford to buy.
At my advanced years, I would like to have owned my property outright, completely, but that's just not going to happen now. I'm of an age where I can't afford a mortgage over a lengthy period of time because I'm approaching retirement in a few years. And so I've gone down the route of shared ownership.
The gap between wages and house prices isn't the only problem. The amount of deposit needed to buy a property has risen astronomically. In Sandwell, one of the poorest and most urban areas of the West Midlands, you would need to put down just over £29,500. That represents a 381% increase since 2001. And the problem's just as bad in rural areas. For example, in the Staffordshire Moorlands, you would need a deposit of just over £39,000. That represents a 384% increase since 2001. For the authors of a report published today, that means the housing market is in crisis. They say there needs to be a massive increase in building affordable homes.
For every £1 spent on housing, £3 is created in the local economy. For every house built, 7.5 jobs are created in the local economy. So it will boost the economy, it saves on employment costs and really gives the economy the kickstart it needs, as well as help solve the housing crisis.
But while house prices stay out of reach, buyers are looking at new ways to get on the ladder. Simon Hunter only needs a 5% deposit because his local council has provided a financial guarantee to his mortgage company.
It's a lot more achievable and manageable, even though it is a big sum of money and it does take time and still makes the commitments and stuff, but it feels achievable and there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Meanwhile, unemployed Kevin is moving to this house in Cannock, but he's only buying 25%. The rest he'll rent from a housing association. Another solution becoming more popular with desperate house hunters. Bob Hockenhull, BBC Midlands Today.
Well, with us now is one of the deputy leaders of Sandwell Council, Councillor Steve Ealing. Sandwell, of course, is an area where wages versus property is pretty tough. Tell us how, in simple terms, how the council's trying to help there.
Well, we've seen the housing market stall, new building stall, and we've seen first-time buyers who can no longer get onto the property ladder, primarily because of the size of deposits that are being asked for. And that's the real problem. So what we're going to do is we will offer mortgages for first-time buyers buying new properties in Sandwell at a 5% deposit rate. It will be a normal mortgage like you would have from a bank or building society.
You've previously been critical of banks and building societies offering mortgages, saying they've been reckless in how they're doing it. Is it actually wise for a council to be entering this kind of market?
Well, I have said that because there were mortgages being given us 115% of property value, so they were in negative equity from the start, before house prices actually started to fall. And it was quite clear as well that mortgages were being given to people that they couldn't afford to service.
So what you're doing is you're aiming to do it responsibly, making it cheaper. What about simply building houses? Isn't that something that councils should do?
Well, we are looking to build houses for rent that will be council houses, but I'm being clear about this. It's about people who want to get their first foot onto the property ladder to be able to buy their own home. And also we want to get new house building kick-started again in Sandwell. So both of these outcomes will be achieved by this.
All right, Councillor Steve Ealing, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now, a new scheme